This is what people are using AI to do. They're finding out that you're hustling, that your camera company, your video company, all these things are taken off, and they're like, I'm going to fabricate a claim, and you're going to pay it out because you want to get rid of them. You don't want to lose your nest egg. You don't want to lose your baby. So when we put these things in a common law trust, it's completely protected if you do the right things.
Welcome back to the COS Business Podcast, the #1 podcast in Colorado Springs.
Today's sponsor is Storybook Destinations. Check them out. They do a bunch of Disney tours, a lot of great planning for your next family trip or anything else that you want to do with maybe it's just you and a significant other. Check them out. They're our newest sponsor for the show.
Yes. So today we have on an amazing guest, someone me and Marcus have both known for quite a while now,
Some years now.
Yeah. We have Earl Harden with
Leverage Wealth.
Yes. All right. So tell us how everything's been, man. How's business? Tell us what's going on with you and your business.
Man, life is so good. If I was doing any better, I'd have to be 2 people, I swear.
Yeah.
I was just telling a client the other day, if I get any happier, the feds are going to come and snatch me up.
Oh,
nice.
You're a big guy to snatch up, man.
It might take 3 of them.
Yeah.
It's been amazing to be in the financial services space right now, where there are so many people that need it. They need help, whether it's a trust, it's life insurance, it's a traditional retirement account, having someone that can speak their language and just break things down in a simple way. I have no desire to make myself sound smart. Let's be effective. Let's be efficient.
Yeah, man. Well, one thing, I've known you for a long time. Back in the day, you and I were in World Ventures together, which is the MLM.
Oh, yeah.
We met, I was 21, 22, you're a year older, and we were kind of starting our entrepreneurial journey. And kind of to kick it back a couple episodes, we had Eric Federencheck in our, it was like 2 episodes ago.
Right. Was that Mind of a Serial Killer?
Yeah, he's a published author now and wrote a really great thriller book called Monarch. And it's amazing. I'm about 220 pages, 250 pages into it actually now.
It's on Amazon right now. Go check it out.
It is.
Right. I just bought it. I'm about to read it.
Really? That's awesome, man. Thanks so much for supporting him. And I always talk about those times as we built a lot of great bonds with the people that we spent so much time with, because we were all so hungry, young 20-something-year-olds. Now we're all in our 30s and we're doing different things, but it's cool to kind of track down and see what everybody else has been doing. But the guy I knew even back then, Earl, was always an avid reader, and you're always a deep thinker. And it's kind of cool to see you move into this financial space, because I feel like that was already part of what you were doing even back then.
Sure.
But talk a little bit more about that, because I think your journey was really cool, and you went to high school here too, correct?
That's right. I went to William J. Palmer. I was a IB nerd.
Yeah.
It was a great time going to school downtown with all the craziness. You never know what was going to happen in Acacia Park when you're trying to go to lunch, grab a bite to eat. So that's been groovy. And I guess the journey, World Ventures, was awesome. I had so much fun. I think I took 74 trips in the company. And before that, I grew up poor. I grew up Section 8. I never even dreamed of going on a vacation. So I don't know. It was just kind of serendipity how I even got in World Ventures. I don't know if you remember that story, but I kind of signed myself up, and that's how I got in.
Really? I don't know if I was in World Ventures before or even after you. I don't remember.
I think I was April of 2011.
You might have been before me then. I think
it's either 2011 or 2012, but I remember it was April. It was kind of funny. I was at UCCS. Everything was going great. I had 4.0. College was fun. Girls, all the different things. Also meeting just really, really different people. The diversity was awesome. It was making me look at reality in a different way. And I was loving it. We've always been deep thinkers and those kind of guys.
Yeah.
And the bank backing my scholarship went down.
What?
And it felt like it was going to be a woe is me kind of story. I was like, I'm the only Black kid in America that has this scholarship, that has a 4.0, and now I have nothing. So I had to start hustling. I was selling Cutco. I was doing all these things. I was doing concrete work, and I was looking for scholarships. And if you've ever been in UCCS, there's a hall where it's pretty much just for meetings. So I was going to every single meeting. Hello, my name is Earl Harden. I'm looking for an opportunity for a scholarship, for work study. I'm not afraid of hard work. I learned quickly. Let's go. And I had a scholarship offer started heading to that meeting. By the time I left one of my jobs working at the rec at UCCS, by the time I walked up to the meeting place, they had canceled the meeting. Everyone left. They let everyone know except me. So I'm just kind of like looking around the hall, looking to find these people. And then I see all these people in like Hawaiian leis and, just doing the shimmy. It's like, what is that? They have scholarships in there. And when I walked in the room, the first thing I said was like, hey, I'm looking for the meeting. Is this the meeting? They're like, what kind of meeting you're looking for? I was like, well, I'm a business major. I'm doing sales and I want to travel and I want a scholarship. They're like, we don't know anyone that's doing that. But give me your phone number. And that's exactly what it was. So that was so fun to be able to travel and the personal development and to get out there and get punched in the face and take L's.
I'd like to take a quick moment and thank our sponsors.
Celebrity DJ. Celebrity DJ, where you get your events your way. Weddings, corporate events, and more. Let Celebrity DJ be your director of fun. Winner of WeddingWire.com's Couple Choice Award year after year with over 100 5-star reviews. Let Celebrity DJ bring your vision for your special event to life. Online at celebrity-dj.com.
That's celebrity-dj.com.
Home Day.
Enhance your company's benefit package with Home Day. Home Day offers innovative real estate solutions that make home ownership simpler and more accessible for your employees. Discover how Home Day can add value to your benefits program at gethomeday.com.
Neon Pig Creative. Bring brands to life with Neon Pig Creative. Dazzling designs and strategic marketing make businesses stand out. Spark creativity at neonpigcreative.com. That's neonpigcreative.com.
Exponential Impact. Fuel startup success with exponential impact, mentorship, resources, and support available to amplify impact. Join a community of change makers at exponentialimpact.com.
That's exponentialimpact.com. Fast Signs. Fast Signs can help you with all your signage and visual marketing needs. Whether you're starting a new business or just need a signage refresh, let Fast Signs help you. Make your statement. That's fastsigns.com. Cars Helping Charities.
Cars Helping Charities is a turnkey fundraising solution for nonprofits. Cars Helping Charities allows your nonprofit to accept vehicle donations, which are sold, and then the funds go to the organization. CHC is partnering with my nonprofit of choice, Mattersville, to help them raise funds through vehicle donations. Please consider donating your car to support Mattersville. CHC will pick up any car, an old clunker you have sitting in your driveway, or a car you just don't feel like selling anymore. Make sure to visit carshelpingcharities.org. That's carshelpingcharities.org. Dream Accounting Solutions. Dream Accounting Solutions provides expert outsource accounting and CFO services to include bookkeeping, payroll, and financial consulting to help you take control of your business finances.
Whether you're a small business or an entrepreneur, their tailored services keep your finances in check. Visit dreamaccountingsolutions.com to schedule your consultation and simplify your financial future. Now let's get back to the show.
Yeah, it's like a really good like entrepreneurship with training wheels, and Andrew knows like MLM, but for some of our viewers at home who might not know what that is, explain a little bit more about like what Rolled Ventures was, and it's kind of a cool thing. And Cutco is very similar too, right? So talk about that.
So I loved Cutco. I was having a lot of fun. I actually had my first $1,000 commission month right before that, which was so much money in college, not $1,000 commission month, commission day, excuse me. So I had my first $1,000 day. I sold, I think it was called a homemaker. I sold like a few of those in one day. It was like a 16-hour day. But I was like, gosh, I made $1,000 in a day. That's
and they're
awesome.
Knives too, right? Cutco?
Yeah, Cutco is like home cutlery.
Yeah.
So at that point, I got very introspective. Like I was excited. And then very quickly, it's like, man, it's going to take me probably 12 to 16 hours to do this again. Like I'm sure I'm going to get better. Time frames will collapse. But it's probably going to at least take 10. And I don't know if I want to spend 10 hours of my life to make this money. I got to get some residuals. So that's why I was asking, it's like, yeah, I want to do sales and I want residual and I want travel. So World Ventures was a wholesale travel club. And they were like the Costco of travel, where they would buy 5, 10, 15,000 trips all at once from a place, spread it out over 2 years so you have a normal experience. And the prices were less than like the employee rate. So it was dope. I think the cheapest trip I took was an 8-day, 7-night cruise for $50. Oh, man.
That's insane.
Port fees and taxes were like $125. for me and the gal that I brought with. But I mean, $175 for 8 days, 7 nights. Like, I ate that much steak and lobster and shrimp before I left. So I think the blessing that you and I have talked about many times is that this company was really a personal development company. It was just wrapped in a sexy travel package. And, all the different crazy guys we got to have, like having Rich Dad, Poor Dad himself come to a training, Robert Kiyosaki, and just the knowledge that he dropped on us and the position that we could be in if we kept on our entrepreneurial journey. It's priceless. So I appreciate all those days. You remember sometimes we were in hotel rooms where it's 25 of us.
Oh yeah.
And a 2-bed hotel room to go to a training because that's the only way we could afford it. And I remember we were in Vegas. I slept on shoes. I remember Carissa was in the bathtub. Like, Nick was on the floor, Nick Greco. And then we were just so excited for what our lives could be.
That's a great way to say it. And there's so many people who have been on this show before that were part of that experience. Like, we have, and it was almost like brotherhood, sisterhood, but we were like family. Like, we had Quentin Blanche. He was like one of my best friends at one point. We've had, of course, Eric. Eric was dating Carissa. You just mentioned Carissa. It's just like, these people are doing amazing, great things. And I think you're right about the personal development piece, because there was all these trainings and they would be monthly, but the big ones would be like quarterly, if I remember, back to those times. And I mean, they would bring in such heavy hitters. And when you're young and you're just trying to sponge up so much knowledge and so much like habitual ways of thinking, it's like, it's overwhelming how excited you get for something like that, the experience, not to mention how close you're getting with the people that you're working with specifically. Like, there was a lot of nights. We mentioned even Derek Leon, who we've had his brother Gary Leon on the show. He was my best friend at the time.
Man, I love Derek.
Yeah.
Rest in peace.
He was amazing. But I was telling you before we started recording, like, we had and all the time we had late nights. Remember hotel rooms? But we had a late night where we were at his house and we're just like masterminding what we want our lives to be as entrepreneurs. It didn't even matter. I mean, we thought it would be in the scope of World Ventures, but in general, it was just like what we want our life to be like. And it was so special. And like, those are some of my best memories of you. Like, we were up to like 4 in the morning, talking about stuff like that. Like, what other 20-something-year-olds are doing that, at that age? It's just, it's a really cool thing. So we have a special bond in that. And it's cool to see you, in this next stage of life. This is well over a decade later. Right. So after World Ventures, I don't know how long you're in there for or anything like that, but talk a little bit more about like, from there to what leads you up to now and what you're doing in financial and everything else.
Okay, awesome. So unfortunately, we never made the millions that we wanted to make there, but we gained so many skills. My network got huge once I started getting 10 phone numbers every single day. I did that for several years, and I look at my phone. It's like I have 9,000 contacts in my phone. I can't go to any restaurant without someone saying, "It's Earl." So that's an incredible blessing. And I just started thinking a little bit bigger, where I'm like, okay, I've always heard that if you only have a job, you're one bad situation away from being homeless. So you always have to have something on the side. I always had a job when I was building World Ventures, and then sometimes I would change the job, but I would always find another job where I could scale, use sales skills, use my charisma and ability to connect with people. And we got to a point where I was like, I'm making way more money than I ever had before here, but I need to find something else. So I got my property and casualty license. And I started working for a company in Briargate. And then right after that happened, my check started bouncing with WV and it went down and, all the things happened. So it's like, okay, cool. Now I have a job and I don't have a hustle. So I need to figure out what I want to do. And very shortly after that, and it's funny, I probably met Andrew like 2.5 years into my financial services journey. But I decided, I was like, I kind of want to get a life insurance license or real estate. And from some of your other episodes, I've heard you guys talk about Grant Cardone and how fired up you get, and you're just like, the scammer,
I don't think he's a scammer. That's Edgar over there.
Yeah, that's Edgar. I'm sorry, that was the clip. I think he gave me a lot of sales skills, and he helped me max out when I was doing telecom sales, where I literally 10x my income, and I got to be on the real estate show, tell my story, all that kind of stuff. So that was groovy. And I'm like, okay, I'm making money. Let's see how I can make more money. And we had a Zoom that completely changed everything for me. And it's the reason I got into financial services. This is Grant Cardone. So we're doing the Zoom, and he was like, how many people in here are doing network marketing? And we're all raising our hands and stuff. And he says, okay, so how big are your conferences? And we're all like 20,000, 30, some of our big ones are 25,000 people. It's like, okay, how much money are you making when you're at a conference? It's like, we're not selling products, we're learning. No. You're in a room with 25,000 excited entrepreneurs.
This is Grant Cardone telling you this?
Yeah.
Okay.
That are fired up about living a better life, and you're not offering them a service. That's the biggest disservice of your life. And it was just like a punch right in the chest. It's like, oh, okay, so I need to come up with a business where I could be the middleman in between businesses. So long story long, I went to his website. I looked at all of his partners. It's like, let's see if I could get into banking or finance in some kind of way with a partnership. I looked through in code view to find the hyperlinks, went to a page, code view, hyperlinks. And then I found a financial services company where they were doing like cash value life insurance, annuities, the whole shebang. It's like, okay, cool. I'm going to do that because that is a service that I can offer to everyone, and then add on different verticals like business funding, trust, and things I've added on over the years. And that's literally how I got started. A guy called me maybe 2 days after that and said, hey, I'm starting up a financial services company in Colorado Springs. 15 people told me I should talk to you. And that's how I ended up meeting you.
Yeah.
Working with those guys over there.
Dang, that's insane, man. It's so crazy. Well, it makes a lot of sense because you have all these contacts and then you're building towards something, and then eventually it all starts linking together. And, you've always been affluent, to my knowledge, with finances. When you approach somebody, how do you start those conversations with them? Especially somebody like I know finance is probably much better than the average Joe.
Sure.
But like the average Joe walking in, having a conversation with you, there's probably a lot of lack of knowledge on everything. You're talking about, would you say cash? Would you say cash
value life insurance?
Cash
That's something
value
that's
life
really
insurance.
Popular right now.
Yeah, and I've heard about that a lot right now. So like break down your services a little bit more for our folks, and maybe just talk about like Joe Schmo walks in.
Sure.
How do you assess the situation and kind of get them plugged into these things as well?
Okay, that's a great question. So I work with a full financial services company. So I don't carry my 6 or Series 7 because I kind of thought about it. And I was going to be in a position where I was going to be like a mediocre financial advisor, and the world's full of those already. They didn't need another one. So I partnered up with one of the best in the United States. He manages about $2 billion. And because he has so much money in the fund, he can do things I could never do if I worked for insert a large company, So we do everything from like final expense, term, annuities, 401ks, solo 401ks, for my entrepreneurs, to like really, really sophisticated investing in the RIA side, which I let him do. And when your average person comes in, most of the time they say, hey, I need help with money. And I heard you're the guy. I heard you're a good guy and you're a smart guy. And I'm like, well, I'm always a good guy. I'm not always a smart guy. So let's see what we can get done. But we're going to fill out a sheet to see how much debt they have, how much income they're making, and to look at where they have money sitting. Working in a broker capacity lets me be even greater than a normal fiduciary, because if I'm working for one company, ABC firm, and I know that the client needs a product from CDF down the street, I would lose my license if I got them the exact thing they needed, which is crazy. So working in a broker capacity, I'm not loyal to any of these companies. These companies ain't loyal, So I'm loyal to my clients, where we're able to shop with the top 80 companies around. So we can get them exposure even to like BlackRock, like you name it, I can get them the exposure to it. And sometimes just moving like a 401k and IRA from company A to company B, we'll get them paid $10, $15, $20, $30,000 just to move it. We'll bring down the costs that they have on it, because the two things that really kill people in retirement are taxes and fees. I had a client maybe 7 days ago. I requested a prospectus from his current company, and they have a big branch here in Colorado. He was paying about 6% in fees over his entire life to this company.
Ooh.
So he paid $325,000 in fees to average 5%. It's like they stole 20 years of your life, of your retirement. So,
and that would have compounded.
It would have compounded. People only think about compound growth, but they don't think about compound losses, where your account takes a 50% dive and then they're taking 5% out off the top. It feels kind of unethical. So a lot of people, the conversation, especially with my seniors, I'm a huge advocate for them, is putting them in a position where it's like, I'm going to take your fees from 4.5% to 0.1% or less. Get you in a great annuity where you're able to participate in gains in the stock market, but you experience no losses. So no more holding on to the pacemaker. You're good to go. Or even like an income annuity where we're taking the money, they're at their golden years, they're ready to spend it. And instead of doing a 4% drawdown, which could be really small, if a client has $1 million and they're drawing down 4%, that's $40,000.
Right.
That's not the life that you expected to live when you saved all that up, you know? So we could take that same $1 million, put it with an awesome income annuity company, and that company will say, hey, we'll pay you $110,000 a year every year you're above dirt if you give us the $1 million. And most people are like, yeah, that makes sense for me. They can take that $1 million and they can hedge it. You know, they manage billions and billions. And some of the companies I work with, trillions of dollars. So it's a win-win for everyone. The client has guaranteed income for their whole life. If they pass away before they've expensed at least, you know, a certain amount, the rest of that becomes a death benefit and it goes to their heirs or charity.
Yeah.
So that's the most common conversation I'm having is, you know, people have fear of dying, and they should. We're mortal. What happens if I die? Let's get you some life insurance. We can get anybody insured. What happens if I live and I don't want to be destitute and broke and have to depend on my kids, friends, charity, and the government?
Yeah. No
that
joke.
hurt even coming out my mouth. The government.
Yeah, because you were in Section 8 growing up, like me as well too. So that probably brings back specific memories of having to rely on the government and growing up that way.
Most definitely. And Uncle Sam doesn't get invited to my barbecues. I have I have a mentor that likes to say paying taxes is ghetto. Let's get you guys in positions where you're not paying, or you're paying the least amount possible just by repositioning things. So I like to help my seniors to make sure their Social Security isn't taxable. Some people just throw a bunch of money in one account. It's easy for them. And then now that Social Security is 85% taxable. Why did you work your whole life for that?
That's crazy.
So I just love being an advocate for these guys. And that's kind of the simple stuff. And then we do the really complex stuff where I literally have people say, I want to do some Trump stuff.
Yeah. Buy some skyscrapers.
It's like, okay, we'll get you some trust. We'll get you some this, some this, some that. We can do it all. So I love having the capacity to help anybody.
Yeah. Well, you kind of were already answering my question, but I was going to ask you what kind of customer comes, I mean, because we're talking seniors and there's a whole conversation regarding that because they get taken advantage of.
Sure.
They're kind of on the mental decline, depending on how old they are, how far they are along. But there's also, I think a lot of young people think they have they have all day to go and get themselves financially stable, which is not the case. I mean, we're all in our 30s now. We understand that life goes very, very quickly. So talk a little bit about like your younger folks that you serve and if that's a bigger piece of the pie and so on and so forth.
Sure. I think my greatest challenge with the younger crowd is for them not to YOLO all their money into crypto. They're just like, I'm just saying, if it keeps compounding, I'm going to have 422 million by the time. It's like, it doesn't work that way. It's not linear. I have to kind of pull them back.
Yeah.
So it's like, okay, we're going to put you in some accounts with the S&P 500, which for people that don't know, it's the 500 largest companies in America, probably the safest index we have in the world. It's probably $13 trillion in it right now because we're kind of in a recession, normally 16 trillion, but very safe place to put your money. And you're going to have consistent growth for years and years and years. let's put some money there. I really believe in teaching them balance young, because it can be difficult to balance an account when someone's 80 and they've been doing one thing for 70 years, you know? But the young guys, I'm like, look, we need to balance your account, because you need some tax now accounts, some tax later, and some tax never. So when you get to retirement, you have options on how you want to pull your money, and if you want to cut Uncle Sam a check or not.
We're going to take a quick break and thank our sponsors.
Storybook Destinations.
Storybook Destinations makes planning your magical Disney vacation effortless. From Disney cruises to Disneyland and beyond, they handle all the details so you can focus on the fun. Visit StorybookDestinations.com to start your adventure. That's StorybookDestinations.com.
Pinnacle Advanced Primary Care. Skip the healthcare hassle with Pinnacle Advanced Primary Care. Direct primary care for a simple monthly fee, putting health first. No insurance needed. Experience personalized care that's as unique as every individual. Visit PinnacleAPC.com to learn more. That's PinnacleAPC.com. Franchise succeed.
Grow any business with Franchise Succeed. From development to expansion, turning small businesses into national brands through franchising. Start scaling up with a free consultation at franchisesucceed.com today. That's franchisesucceed.com.
Planet Duct. Breathe easier with Planet Duct, Colorado Springs' premier air duct cleaning service. Powerful vacuum trucks rid homes of allergens and dust. Clear the air by visiting planetduct.com. That's planetduct.com.
Epic Eyewear. Elevate style with Epic Eyewear. Innovative designs meet unmatched quality, ensuring a great look and better vision. Discover your next pair of shades at epiceyewear.com. That's epiceyewear.com, spelled EPOCH eyewear.com.
And we're running a special discount right now, Andrew. It's COSBP 15 for 15% off your
15% off your freaking order at epiceyewear.com. We're wearing the sunglasses right now. If you're watching, listening on the audio, definitely check out the video so you can see and check out how epic they are. EPOCH
eyewear.com.
Eyewear.com.
Awesome Home Services. Awesome Home Services provides reliable electrical, plumbing, and HVAC services in Colorado Springs and surrounding areas. Whether you need emergency repairs for routine maintenance, they're available 24/7 to keep your home running smoothly. Visit awesomeservice.com. That's awesomeservice.com. Or give them a call at 719-370-0911 to schedule your service today. Now we will get back to this episode.
I found out like recently, and I've kind of always known this, like if you make over $490-something thousand a year, you have to pay like almost 50% of that to taxes. So it's like, how what is your strategies on that? Or what are your thoughts on that?
Well, a lot of people are smarter than the average bear. Once you start making that money, that's where a lot of times you're buying real estate and you're depreciating it.
That makes sense. Yeah.
But there's so many strategies. The trust strategies are really, really cool. Shout out to Christina Yvette. That is my trust attorney. She's amazing. So I'm not an attorney, CPA. This is my disclaimer. But but if you have a properly structured bulletproof trust with a unincorporated business trust, a unincorporated family trust, and a tax exempt trust, you can easily lower your taxable income by 70%, keeping that money liquid. And the best part about it is you start to flip structures where we're not taught to pay ourselves first. You know, we go out and we pay at the house of JP Morgan, we pay Comcast, we pay all these things, and then we have crumbs left over and we're trying to build a palace from the crumbs, where we really need to pay ourselves first, pay everybody else last.
Donald Miller, right? Has a book called Pay Yourself First. I think it's Donald Miller. Is it Donald Miller? No, it's probably not Donald. I don't remember.
Yeah, Miller, I mean, almost anybody in finance that knows what they're talking about will tell you pay yourself first.
For sure, yeah.
Unless they're a scammer jammer. They're like, pay me first.
Yeah.
Very true.
Or me second and then everything else.
Exactly. So you can build these structures, and then that's where when you get to do fun stuff, because irrevocable trust is a person. So if a person can write a book, trust can write a book. If a person can buy real estate, a trust can buy real estate. A person can build a credit profile, a trust can build a profile. So when we see, you know, all these cases going on with all these celebrities, they're trying to seize their assets. Some can't be seized because they're in a trust, and that trust is completely separate from the person, pays his own taxes and everything. So we sit down with folks, and, you know, I have a few clients that have gone from saying I owed $40,000 last year to I'm getting a return of $15,000 this year, and my tax liability went down $100,000 just because they used a trust.
Yeah, it also helps with. Well, I don't want to stir controversy, but I think it helps with divorce too, right? If it has it,
Most
if you have your money
definitely.
in a trust and you have a divorce, it's essentially untouchable, depending on like the bylaws of the trust of what happens or whatever it might be. Is that correct too?
That's correct. And depending on what state you're in, the trust can operate differently. I like using unincorporated trusts because they don't go by statutory rules. They go by common law. Common law is only affected by the Supreme Court.
Oh, wow.
So that's pretty much from the UK all the way down to Barbados. All have a common law system. So if someone wants to sue you, let's say you're negligent with things and you leave your trust out, which you should never do. Put it in a safe with your crypto. Put it in a safe. But let's say you left it out. Someone sees assets that you have and they create a lawsuit because they know you're good for it. This is what people are using AI to do. They're finding out that you're hustling, that your camera company, your video company, all these things are taken off, and they're like, I'm going to fabricate a claim, and you're going to pay it out because you want to get rid of them. You don't want to lose your nest egg. You don't want to lose your baby. So when we put these things in a common law trust, it's completely protected if you do the right things. You can goof it if you're being intentional, but if you follow guidelines, pretty darn untouchable. And the thing that I really like and my clients love is that they're private. You don't register it with the Secretary of State like you would an LLC, where they know all your business. The only people that are going to know that you have that trust are, your attorney, trust advisor that helps you draft it, the grantor that you have there, and I guess the teller that's going to help you notarize it when you create it. But besides that, there's no public records of it. So when I talk to some of these really, really big trust attorneys and we talk about how much wealth is in America, they're like, it's 10 times that. A lot of it's private.
Oh, okay. Yeah. So to make sure I'm understanding you clearly, you're saying people are using AI to go find public information to try to file claims against you? Like what? Okay.
Most definitely. I see that you're winning and I'm a hater.
Okay.
Somebody that has a wishbone instead of a backbone.
Yeah,
they don't want to do any work. So they're going to go after your assets instead of building their own.
And so how would they do that? Like they're going to create false claims or?
So what they're going to do, they're going to find a lawyer that would take the case with certain clauses in there. And they're like, okay, I have a high probability of winning this case. Let's do it. And then they start putting the pressure on you. There's subpoenas. There's all these different legal measures that they're taking to put pressure on you as a business owner. So you're just going to try to make it go away.
But for what though? Like
any false claim, it's just a lawsuit that they're bringing against you, I think is what he's saying.
I know you own a whole bunch of real estate and it's just in an LLC. Okay. And I can just look it up in public records. So I decide on a snowy day to come by your house, slip, and break my arm.
Oh, okay. Yeah. Things like that. Yeah.
My arm is broken. You're liable. I'm saying it right into the camera,
Yeah.
So they'll do that. And there's other more sophisticated ways to do it. And I don't want to create any scammer jammers. So I don't want to throw them out there. But
you're saying they're using AI to learn how to do these kinds of things,
Well, they're using AI to get the information faster.
Okay, faster.
Because maybe 15, 20 years ago, you still had to go down to the county records.
Right.
You had to grease some palms to get the information to know whose name's on the title, whose name's on the deed, whose name's on the refi mortgage. Now, people are so adept and so skilled using AI that they're going to scour the web until they find a leak and there's data breaches everywhere. And then they're able to get the information and then they're able to know what you have in your piggy bank. And they're like, I want that.
But if you have it in a trust, it's not public. It's harder for them to find.
It's not public at all.
Yeah.
AI cannot hack paper.
Yeah.
Isn't that beautiful?
Not yet. No, just kidding.
That's the Terminators. That's different.
They just give a robot a camera and it could probably hack paper. But we're not going to get into that rabbit hole.
Dang, that's crazy. Well, it just shows like how litigious the United States is for like everything can be a lawsuit. And that just drives me crazy. Like it just serves it up to criminals or anybody who's got a very creative scammer jammer type of mindset to just do and make money very quickly. I've been the subject of lawsuits and accusations before, and people have come at me for things like that before. And it's like,
yeah, because you did a festival and everything.
yeah, and
your tiny house festival.
Yeah, oh yeah, I've had 2 things on that are just crazy, and it's just like if I had it under a trust, it probably would have been a completely different situation. How untouchable that whole event and business was.
Because we're gonna move all your good assets into the private stratosphere. So when they look you up, he doesn't have anything.
Right.
They'll keep it moving.
It's interesting how people say like Grant Cardone is a scammer, but there's real scammers out there doing crazy things. Like,
you know what I'll say about Grant? I really, really appreciate him for mindset and for sales skills, but some of those packages he's putting together, it's like, I don't know if people are getting $100,000 worth of value.
Okay, yeah.
In that one day, it's like, cool, I hung out with you for 2 hours and got $100,000 worth of game.
That's just ripping people off. Is that the same thing as scamming? Maybe, I don't know. It's probably in the same ballpark. Yeah.
I kind of think about the same thing with business funding, and I'm planning probably we're getting into Q4 now to restart a funding company to be able to help people get 0% APR business credit, up to 250, 300,000,
nice.
And doing it in a way where it's ethical and you're helping people. I know a whole bunch of people, not knocking their hustle, but they'll get folks the funding and then charge them 10, 15 or 20% on the back end. And they'll rationalize it by saying, well, the banks do it. It's like, that doesn't make it ethical either, because we know what the banks are doing.
We know what they did in 2008.
Right. We know what they're doing right now. If you're watching, that they've changed a lot of their policies from bank bailout to bank bail in. So a lot of times I'll show that to my clients. I'm like, the bank that you're at has a bail-in system. So if everything goes left, they're going to garnish everything you have in the bank, and they're going to say, thank you for your charity. Kind of like what happened to Greece in 2008. So the big 4 banks have pretty much changed over to a bail-in. So saying just because the banks are doing it, that doesn't do anything,
Right.
2 wrongs don't make a right, but 3 lefts make that turn, right?
So crazy.
3 lefts make a right.
What are your thoughts on private equity specifically? Because you're talking about a fund that you might be starting, but private equity is somewhat different, but in some ways very similar. If like you're building a portfolio of businesses, and people can invest certainly into a fund eventually, a private equity fund, in businesses that might even give a better return than say the S&P 500. But like, I kind of want to get a gauge of like what you think about private equity, if you have any thoughts on it.
I think it depends on the group that's building and driving the fund, because there are a lot of problems that we have right now that come from private equity. Like there's one very large company that I work with, so I'm not going to name them. I get my clients exposure here and there, but they own 1/3 of all the single family homes. One company, one entity in the United States.
Does it start with the B?
That's who it is. Yeah, we know who it is. Yeah. So when I look at something having that much of a monopoly, like that's something that the Rockefellers were wishing they could get to.
Yeah.
To have that type of domination. That's a problem to me. If people are getting together and you are combining different industries in a way where it's going to flow better, we're going to knock off costs, and you're going to be more competitive to other companies, do that. Whatever drives competition and is going to actually help the consumer at the end of the day, I'm all about that.
Yeah, that's a great answer. Yeah, it's very interesting to me because I feel like my career will probably eventually lead me to private equity because I have 3 businesses right now. But I love businesses. And I would love to invest or buy a portion of a business and not necessarily do turnarounds, but businesses that are already doing very well. And so I can implement my technology and marketing skills to do so. But with that being said, I think our past like 5 out of 7 guests have been people who have come from a business that was made in spite of private equity. Because I think we had Tyler on, we had several people on that were like,
one of our
private
sponsors.
equity came in and screwed everything up. So I made this business, or I left my business because private equity. And it's just like, it's becoming definitely something that's an emerging issue in just small business world. And so I always want to get a gauge from my guests of like what they think of that. If they know of it, if they know of it happening, obviously we know the one that starts with the B is a very, very big one. But what about the ones that are smaller private equity that's owned in, you have a portfolio business of like 10 companies and you're doing it only in Colorado or whatever it might be. I just wanted to get your thoughts,
Yeah, I'm all about commerce. I'm all about making a dollar. I definitely believe in conscious capitalism. It's one of my favorite books. I think you can make a dollar without lying, ripping people off, or taking more than your share. And you have to have something inside your head that says, this is not right. Even sometimes I'll have brokers from other companies where they reach out to me, hey, can you help me on this one deal? I know you can do X, Y, and Z, and making sure they get at least 50% of the pay that comes out of it. Like, do I have to do that? Not at all, because they came to me. I could say, oh, we're going to do 70-30 because that's better than nothing. I'd rather just split it down the middle and know that he left happy, I'm happy. Like, I don't have to get it all in one shot. I just believe in myself enough to do things the right way.
Yeah. I think Elon has been a perfect example.
Yeah.
His business model was to drive down the cost of EV cars because he had like a mission. And like he made so much money from building a company with a goal of not trying to, obviously they started out with their first ones to be sexy so that they can make EVs not look like Priuses or, like that. like, cause everyone has their own idea of what a Prius is. And it's usually not a good idea. It's usually a joke. And so like, he was like, how do we change the consciousness around EVs? And like, essentially what I'm saying is he wasn't trying to jack up the price. He was actually trying to do the opposite. So it's like, and now look at him. Like, he's doing a pretty good job, I think.
I think he definitely plays 4-dimensional chess when it comes to business.
Yes.
Where
I'm starting a business called 4D Chess, by the way.
That's a good. Yours must have been burning, man.
We're vibing on it. I was just looking yesterday, and it's like he controls 90% of satellites that are orbiting Earth.
Oh yeah,
that is absurd.
And he put them up in the last few years, just in the last few years.
Right, you can't do anything antitrust because no one else is doing it. No one else came up with the capital. Where he was sleeping on couches after making hundreds of millions of dollars. So he kept reinvesting in his dream. And I'll see him do something crazy, say something crazy. And people are like, oh my God, he's an idiot. It's like, this is strategic. And also, you don't have to like someone to learn from them or to appreciate their hustle or to appreciate their wins. There are so many people out there like Henry Ford. I can appreciate the empire that he made. I don't have to like the man and the way that he looked at minorities or the way that he looked at poor whites. I don't have to agree with that, co-sign any of that.
Or the way he looked in the mirror. No, I'm just kidding.
He wasn't handsome. He was not a handsome man. But I mean, the dude created the 8-to-5 workday. Without him, we wouldn't have that. People would still work 16 to 18 hours.
Not to mention the car.
Assembly line, right?
Assembly line. And that might have been Washington Carver, that created that. But even the set hourly wage would shape so much that we can just stand on these guys' shoulders and we can build something new and beautiful in the world. So I appreciate that, but I wish he didn't have so much hate and disdain in his heart. So that's how I look at celebrities or anyone. I try to learn from them.
Why I don't understand why that's like such a hard concept to, especially in today's day and age where like everybody puts all their business out there. Like you got to take everything with a grain of salt. Most people are going to have views that, everybody's going to have views that you're going to disagree with 20, 30, 40, 50% of, but they can be doing great things to better humanity. Like an Elon Musk. How many different things is he doing right now to better humanity other than even just SpaceX or Tesla? He has so many other businesses that he's doing. They're just like, you're pushing, he's going to be known as the Albert Einstein or better, the Nikola Tesla or whoever of our time, without a doubt.
He already basically has written it into the history books. He's already like done the actions that are embedded into history. It's already there.
Yeah. I think people aren't appreciated until after they're gone, unfortunately. It's like a Michael Jackson kind of thing. You remember how much hate he took the last 15, 20 years before he passed. And then once he passed,
we miss Michael.
Yeah.
Oh man. I just had a great conversation like this with my mastermind group. And it basically fell down to, if I'm summarizing it, that your average person has a much lower standard for their friends and people in their immediate circle than celebrities. So if we talked about someone like a Kanye West, like, oh, he's the worst person to ever live. I hate him. It's like, he's literally given maybe $35 million to to kids in need, water wells, this. Like we could list all these accomplishments off. And it just sucks that people are so stuck in like, I have to love someone to appreciate them or appreciate their work. I don't know if you guys have read John C. Maxwell's new book yet, High Road to Leadership.
No, not yet.
It's awesome. That's what it's all about. How you can connect with people that aren't like you and how to move in a way where you are not separating people, you're bringing them together, even though you can be very different.
Yeah, collaboration is so dang important. And you're so right, man, about what you're saying about these people. Because it's like, how are you throwing stones at people who've probably helped out like so many people? Like you're talking about like a Kanye West. Like you can't throw stones at those people. They're at a different level. There's leagues to people and what they do to contribute to society. It just is.
I think it's easy to be cynical.
Yeah.
Easy to be
it's
cynical.
gutless.
Yeah.
It doesn't take any effort. That's one of my favorite quotes. I used to have that in our WV days.
Oh, really?
I used to have that above my bed. Being cynical is gutless.
Yeah. Okay.
It doesn't
nice.
take any energy, effort, or anything to be a critic. But how many statues are made for critics?
It's true.
Let me think. No,
Very
just kidding.
true, sir. Very true. And it's easy. I mean, you can do it behind a keyboard, right? You can just do it from your bed. If you have a laptop, like you can talk all this crap about somebody with no repercussions. That's kind of the day and age that we live in now, right? With the computer screen is like, I remember the funniest thing is, I don't even know if I even told you this, but like, do you guys remember AIM? When it first it was Instant, it was AOL Instant Messenger. And there used to be like chat rooms and stuff like that.
You would write ASL.
And so I remember going to my first chat room and it was just like such a stimulating experience. Yeah. And it was just like, what the heck who am I talking to? Where are they from? And like, it was just crazy. I remember the first thing I did was talk shit. And I was just like, oh, I could do that. I was just like stirring things up. And I don't know if it's just me being young and dumb or whatever it was, but I remember it being like, oh, they can't do anything. And I think that's kind of like embedded in humanity. Like we haven't evolved to the state of understanding that like, that doesn't do anybody any good to talk all this crap and have no repercussions. And so it's very interesting times, you know, the internet's only been around for 30 years, right? Mainstream. We're still very young in our age, the internet age. And so it's interesting to see what we plug into, how we react to certain things right now. And I think we'll look back and be like, what the heck were we doing? Like, what the hell were we doing? Like talking crap to each other and dividing one another. It's very interesting.
I think it's tough when you're on the internet or texting or some way where you have some kind of anonymity.
Yeah.
To extend empathy, because empathy is heavy and expensive. You know, that's why we can't expect it from cheap people.
Right.
So when you get on there, someone says something crazy, you just have a knee-jerk reaction and go right into it. We're not trained to pause. Does this deserve my energy? Do I want to put this energy out? And if you remember like Sean Curtis, man, that 6'5" monk, like blue-eyed, he's literally a model. He'll model and then he goes back to being a monk for the rest of the year after he's made enough money. I remember he said something to me along the lines, I'm driving us to a training, WV training, and people are just being so erratic. I don't really have road rage, but this person was cut me off 3 times on I-25, the same person. And I'm just, I'm getting all angry. And he's like, man, you can't let him get you angry, because choosing to be angry today means you're going to choose to be angry in a tomorrow. Why don't you choose peace today? And my first reaction, I wanted to curse him out too. But I was like, you're right. We're going to take Ludacris off the radio. We're going to play something more chill. We're on that move. Like, it was hyped.
For sure, yeah.
Well, it's also like you're expelling energy when you do that. Like the one thing I love, what Rogan always tells people who come on his show if they're new to fame.
Seth Rogen?
Joe Rogan.
I'm just kidding.
Is like, don't read your comments, because it's gonna put you in a certain mindset, or you're gonna want to comment back to all these people talking negatively about yourself, and you're expelling your energy when you do that. Like, how much energy do you want to give to people who are just making false claims about you? Like we've already had on this podcast. I don't know if I ever told you this, but it was funny. Some guy made fun of my facial hair. He's like, this guy's got the craziest half facial hair ever. And I just started cracking up. I'm like, oh my gosh, this guy doesn't even know me. He's just talking all this crap. But it's like,
we get lots of hate comments, actually. Not lots, but we get some here and there. You know?
Yeah. And it's just funny because even at our level, you know, we're not famous or anything, but like, it's just so funny that like, if you put your energy into that, it can consume you, man. it can consume you. And as you elevate like you are right now, like the hate's going to come for you and the target gets bigger for you. Have you had any of those types of instances come up?
Most definitely. I've had people at other firms that have like a certain network marketing based financial company that, man, they got a lot of haters over there. And I have people blow up my inbox and just say a bunch of stuff, and they're just sending me the same screenshot. And I don't even open them at this point, but I used to say, you know, I challenge you to think critically about this situation. You are literally being a sheep. You're just regurgitating what he said because she said it because he said it. Have you sat down and looked at these things? Have you read these books? Have you gone to conferences outside of your company? You know,
and they're not going to listen to that, you know,
and they're not going to go. They're not going to go. Like, I love it. I got to see Ted Benna not too long ago. He's the guy that created the 401k, and listen to him talk about how it's terrible for an hour. And then the last 30 minutes, but if you have one, here's how to maximize it. So it's great to get those experiences and get it right from the horse's mouth, you know? So while we were doing the DEP-V thing, there was a Facebook group that was called the I Hate Earl Harden / DEP-V group. And it was public, so I could see all the comments and
sounds like they're in love with you or something.
Yeah. I remember making a quote. I had to only be maybe 2 years in. I didn't have a super big group. I had maybe like 40 or 50 guys and gals in my group, and I'm trying to get stuff going, and they're just like, it's so dumb, and they're scamming and jamming, and I was like, man, I think I might have made it. Like, people are mad that I'm just living my life. They're mad that I'm taking a trip every month, and I'm taking homies with me and some beautiful women, and we're chasing our dreams. I got to be doing something right. But I mean, nothing too crazy. I think, you know, I was super skinny when we met. So thank goodness for protein.
Protein and a lot of hard work too, right? You know, you've been working hard for that, you know?
Yeah, I appreciate it. Throwing the weights around. I love the guys at D1. They've helped me out. But with my stature, I don't really have too many people come up to me and say a bunch of crazy stuff. But I'll get keyboard warriors, or I'll get weird letters. Someone texted me off of like a fake Google number. And I just kind of laugh at it because I don't know, I'm just so, my vision is so locked in on what I want to create. So I'm using financial services to serve people. However, like, my mission is to connect with people, help them gain empathy, help them gain critical thinking, and kind of heal ourselves as a people. And I know that's one person at a time, because I had to have someone sit down with me in a coffee shop and say, hey, I know you're really angry that life is like this. I know you're angry that your friend got killed. I know you're mad about all these things, but you have to let that go. You're drinking the poison and trying to feel well. And it doesn't work that way. And then I healed, and now I'm able to pass that light on to other people. So I'm just using the platform of financial services to try to impact the globe in the best way that I can.
You mentioned that World Ventures was a personal development company wrapped up in a sexy travel company. How do you attribute those experiences, and more specifically, the personal development that you attained younger, like in your more formidable years of your life, to your success now?
It's a 100% correlation, because if I'm having an off day, I know I've had off days before, and I've come back and I've won after that. I've journaled it. So it's so inscribed in my head that, okay, it takes 2 L's to make a W. I lost today. Let me get one more loss so I can get a W, and bring these things together and synergize it into a new energy. I don't read as much as I used to in those days, because I was probably reading a book every 3 days, you know, because I was so just jacked up. I just wanted to know what was out there. I wanted to know what I didn't know, so I could be exposed to it, and then I could learn that and keep going and keep going. I remember I had a conversation with Nick Greco, and I was really, really frustrated. There were all these people around me that were making like 30 grand a month. I was like, what do I need to do? He's like, the only difference between you and them is the amount of books that they've read, high quality conversations that they've had, and the times they've been rejected. He's like, so go out and triple your rate of failure, you would double your rate of success. And I said, okay. And I locked in. I literally left, went to Barnes and Noble. I just started reading books because I was broke. I didn't have any money. So I remember that day I went and read Secrets of the Millionaire Mind by T. Harv Eker. Read it in one sitting, was like, this is awesome. Came back the next day with a notepad. Maybe I should take some notes on this. And I read that book over and over for like 2 or 3 weeks, and then got into Napoleon Hill and Stephen Covey. And it's just amazing the world that is out there. But I also was aware, because I've known a lot of people in Amway, which is a great company, not knocking them in any way, where they get trapped in that personal development, where they feel like they have to be perfect before they can go out and do the work. It's like, I like, Brene Brown likes to say perfectionism is a trauma response. So let's not do that. Let's stay in the healthy. Let's just get it done, even if it's ugly.
Yeah, I believe that thoroughly. That's something I've always had in my mind. I think since I was young. It's probably through an MLM. I think that's the interesting thing about MLMs is they, at least for our generation, they have, I think, opened up people to entrepreneurship. And I think that's the best aspect out of, I think, MLMs. It was cool that your guys' company was also, what did you say? It was a
travel club?
It was a travel club, but what was a self-development thing?
Oh, like the personal development.
The one that I was in, it was just teaching you how to, run your own meetings. There was no really self-development training. Maybe there was, I just didn't get to that level. I don't know. But it sounds like there was that was a big part of that culture. Really.
I think any person that has the gall to do something that the whole world says it's a pyramid scheme, it's a scam, and you say, I want to do it anyways, just having that mindset is going to set you up to be a winner in so many different places in life. And I had people giving me news clips. And did you see the San Diego Fox News clip from 2013? This person lost $1 million in World Ventures. How? I don't know, but they did. I'm not worried about it. I'm going on trips. I'm building a business. And I'm going to keep building this until it doesn't make sense. And I'm going to pivot to the next thing, and I'm going to build that. And I'm in a place now where I feel like the next 10 to 15 years, this is going to be my lane. I could see adding in more verticals. I learned a lot from Alex Hormozy, his books, his videos. I really appreciate him, where I was trying to do multiple different businesses that weren't vertical at all. It's like, okay, I gave myself 5 jobs.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah.
That's not the way to go.
Yeah, it's so true. You have to learn how to and if you are doing that, you have to learn how to delegate or you're just screwed. Because you're right, you have 5 jobs, essentially is what you're doing. Like you have to learn that next level of leadership, at least to delegate tasks out to people and nurture a culture to work on your behalf and be as passionate about that or somewhat passionate about what they're doing. And so that's like a whole nother level that's just insane. And one thing you have mentioned as well is mentorships and books and all these different things. And a lot of these people who are listening to our show, they're entrepreneurs. So they've probably heard some of those folks, but talk about the importance of mentors as well. Like we all have mentors like Alex Hormozy, John C. Maxwell, like those are some of the GOATs for sure. Do you have mentors that you talk to in person here in Colorado? Talk a little bit more about nurturing those folks too as well.
Sure. I think there are different levels of mentorships where there are some guys I get to talk to them one time a year. Like the guy who owns the platform I do all my financial stuff through, he's worth over 800 million and he's trending towards 1 billion by next year. I get to talk to him once a year.
Nice.
And it's always mind blowing. It's where like I've had an amazing month. I've made the most money I've ever made in my life. And he's like, man, I couldn't even fill both of my jets with that amount.
Yeah, exactly.
You got to start dreaming bigger. And I love the guy. He's, if you could imagine Ric Flair, but growing up in the Deep South. That's how this gentleman is. So he's just scaling my mind every time I talk to him. The first time I met him, within 24 hours, I was on his jet. I was signing a contract to join this financial company. And he's like, yep, this is one of my 3 jets. I have 500 real estate properties. I have this, I have this, I have that. He's showing me bank accounts. He's showing me he has cash value life insurance with 30, 40, $50 million in the different accounts. And just, I truly believe exposure leads to expansion, because some of us have never had anything because we never saw anything. So that was kind of my story until I really learned how to dream. And I learned there was no ending on it. People tell you the sky's the limit, but it's footprints on the moon. So we can dream so much bigger. And having a great mentor, a level down, someone that you could talk to, like I still talk to Nick Greco at least 2-3 times a month, just because he's an exceptional human being, and he's in financial services. And it was funny. He kind of joined financial services after I did. He's like, hey, I'm doing what you're doing, but in a cooler company. So when it comes to mentorships, I feel like it's one of the best ways you could shortcut your pain, your misery. It's someone who's already been there. They've already climbed the mountain. They can tell you, what to look out for, the different pitfalls, but they can also give you something special where you can do it faster. Let's say, if I knew what I knew now, I would do this and I'd approach it this way. So mentorships are priceless, and sometimes you can't get a mentor in your lane. When I first started doing this, I couldn't get anyone that would teach me. So I just bought a bunch of books and
parasocial relationships, I think is what they call them.
Parasocial?
Yeah, where it's like, it's a one-sided relationship. So it's like a one-sided mentorship in a sense, like books or Alex Ramosey's, or you kind of do get mentorship through that. Obviously you can't ask questions, but AI is coming. So it's already here actually. So maybe parasocial relationships will change a little bit in the next few years, because
that would be interesting.
Yeah.
If someone could implement, if John C. Maxwell, or we could get Jim Rohn's mindset implemented into some database, and then this is what they would tell you. Mind blowing.
Yeah.
You guys want to start another company?
Yeah, we have him on our side. Well, truth is stranger than fiction, man. That's probably, it is coming down the pipe. And I mean, the things that we talk about, look what might happen soon, will definitely be reality in the next 10 years. I would say that's something that's definitely in the next 10 years. I've been observing you this whole conversation. This hour's been flying by the way. But I'm curious, if Earl Harden fell dead tomorrow, what would he want to be remembered for?
That is a powerful question. I would want to be remembered for the connections that I made, the empathy and space that I hold for others, and for definitely living my life so intentionally that it drew other people in to live their own life intentionally. I think that would be the big thing. Once I took off my shackles and started living how I wanted to, like, gosh, I got to go so hard in this that other people know they can in their own dream just by observing me.
That's a great answer, friend. So what's next for you specifically?
Well, I would really love to scale this brokerage. I'm looking at hiring staff right now, going back to getting a brick and mortar business, and a sigh because COVID was awesome. I didn't have to have an office, but growing to a point where I'm going to have like a secretary and a dialer. And then I have my younger brokers coming up where they feel like it would add to their credibility to be able to have a brick and mortar office and not just do things in a coffee shop like we've done in the past. So I want to scale this thing out big and beautiful and, slowly start to branch across the country.
Sure, that's exciting, man, especially if you're walking into an environment with other motivated people who are dedicated to the same mission, the mission that is probably your mission that they're buying into. It's so cool to see folks work towards that with you. It's a vision that you built out yourself, and then it's so big, people are just playing in that vision themselves. So that's awesome, man. That's so great. Do you have any other questions before I throw him his camera?
I think I just had something. Oh, there it goes. I lost it. Dang it.
We'll do a post-production probably. Awesome, brother. Well, this is your camera. Give them the details of how to find you.
Right on. Well, I'm redesigning my website right now, but you can reach me on my socials. I'm Earl Harden on Facebook and Earl Quantum on Instagram. You can see my link tree there, and we can get you taken care of. Life insurance, retirement, trust, any investment, we're there to play for you.
Also, follow him with D1 Athletics. Is it D1 Athletics? I think it is, right? He's on all the stories. He's like a freaking celebrity. I'm always watching the stories for D1, and Earl's like doing something crazy, squatting something crazy, or doing all the drills because they have a turf field there. So it's just so cool to see your journey, man. Like beyond just business, it's been awesome to see like your physical journey as well. I'm super proud of you, man.
Thank you guys so much for having me on the show. And it's dope to reconnect because I met both of you guys independently and then you guys become a power team.
Yeah, hell yeah.
Yeah, man, for sure.
Well, all right. This has been the COS Business Podcast, and we'll see you guys on the next one.
Good job, bro. That was awesome, man. Good job.
I appreciate you guys.
Yeah. We're going to get a picture right here.
Right on.
Stay still. Oh, yeah.